My name's Laura Poitras, and I make documentary films. I've been working on a series of films that are attempting to document America post 9/11. Are we playing? I am. Okay, so I've been making a series of films to document America post 9/11. And these are actually images that I filmed at Ground Zero in September and October 2001. So these are faces before the war in Afghanistan started, and before we sort of began this path sort of away from the rule of law. And while I was filming these faces, I didn't know that there was another narrative being written that included plans for the legalization of torture, preemptive war, indefinite detention without trial, warrantless wiretapping, all the things that we've come to know about. The plans that were being made here. So what I've been trying to do is document that. And although I'm interested in these big themes, the way that I tell stories or the way that I work or my practice is to kind of go places and follow stories. And by following individuals, try to understand these bigger issues. So in 2004, I traveled to Baghdad to document the occupation there. And when I got on the plane, it was about a month after the Abu Ghraib photographs were public. And so I went there and I spent, sorry. So if I want to advance one, I want to advance past this to the next, yeah. Okay, so this is a film that I made in Iraq. Can we bring the volume up?
وين بيتكم؟ عمرك ايش قد؟ عمرك 9 سنين؟ This is type of punishment.
Yes.
This type of punishment, they can't bear it because they are children.
We have looked through every one of these files. These juveniles are dangerous.
So what I try to do, or the tactics, is to follow individuals. But my goals in the work is to try to implicate the audience emotionally in what they're witnessing. There's a long documentary tradition where people go to other places and it's about those other people over there, and we watch them and there's this great distance. And what I'm trying to do is actually look at the power relationships and how we are connected in the events that we're witnessing. And so here we see a 9-year-old boy in Abu Ghraib prison and a military person who represents our government saying that this juvenile is dangerous. And I'm interested in making the audience very uncomfortable in witnessing and implicated in that process. And the other thing I'm very interested in doing in this body of work is to create primary documents of historical events. So go on the ground, record so that you have a record for the present and then also for the future. And I think images have a unique way of capturing and reaching people in different kinds of way and also mobilizing. And so we have, the example of the civil rights movement where we see the protesters being hosed down and people being galvanized, or the Vietnam War. So the images can rupture consciousness, and I'm very interested in creating primary documents and trying to reach people emotionally. Let's see if this works. So this is after I finished the film in Iraq. I wanted to do something on Guantanamo, so I went to Yemen. And this is footage shot by the US military. And so the man that you're seeing here is a man named Salim Hamdan, who, when I went to Yemen, was imprisoned at Guantanamo. And his case, which I follow in this film, was the first military commission to happen at Guantanamo Bay prison. And one of the challenge is how do you represent the Guantanamo, which we know is still open. I hope we all know that Guantanamo is still open. How do you represent a place which the state doesn't want you to see? And with Salim Hamdan's story, I had that bit of footage. and then attempted to tell his story as, in a sense, a ghost story that he's
يا أخي
missing.
الحبيب الغالي الكور أبو حبيب، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طالت الأيام والسنين وما بقي إلا الله الواحد القهار الذي يقول الشيء كن فيكون.
So I'm currently working on sort of the third piece of what's going to be a trilogy, and I'm trying to look at how the war on terror is going to be brought home. And one of the themes I'm working on is surveillance, and I've been working in Utah. And how many people know about the Utah Data Storage Center that's being built? Okay, so this is where all your emails and all your communication is going to be stored. It's a massive site. It will be the largest data storage facility in the country. And the NSA's building it here to sort of intercept information and store it in this facility. And it's being governed by what are called basically secret laws. And what the NSA says is that an intercept is actually not sucking in your communication and storing it on those computers there. It's actually only when somebody listens to it. So there are these again, secret laws that are being created that allow for this to happen. So what I'm working on now will focus on that. In sort of closing, I'd like to say that, I mean, the war on terror is based on a radical dehumanization of human beings. And what I'm trying to do in this work is to sort of, if I can bring people in emotionally into what it is that they're witnessing, to hopefully change how that they relate to it. So, for instance, if we imagined a world in which Pakistan was assassinating American citizens in Texas with flying robots, we would maybe understand the sort of state terror that people in Pakistan are experiencing right now, and yet that we seem to perceive this as being acceptable foreign policy. I mean, I've got a few seconds here. I mean, one thing with doing this work is that hopefully to create a record, but then also to reflect back to us and sort of confront who we are and who we are as a country. And I'd like to close by just actually having a few minutes of silence for those people who are actually being held without trial and detention, who've been at Guantanamo for 12 years now, or 11 years. Thank you.